What's up, dude?
What's up, man? So, welcome everybody to the Patriot Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Danny O'Neill.
I'm Ron G.
And we're a couple of fisters, which we'll explain what that means to you at some point. But until then, I'll let you stay in the dark. We're former military guys, so our careers were quite different. And I'm a little older than you.
A little bit.
Not too much. But I'm 40 now, so that's...
I turned 32 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you served way earlier in your life, I believe, than I did, like way fresher out of high school and stuff.
Yeah, I was 19 when I signed up.
Yeah.
So I signed up, for those of you at home, I signed up for the Army on 9/11. I was 19, and for some dumb reason, I thought I should pick a job that requires me to do math when everything goes really, really bad. And so did Ryan.
Yeah.
So we have a plethora of topics. This is a show about nothing. We want to talk to you guys about all kinds of topics, from military stuff to just everyday life, dad life for me. I got a whole bunch of kids, and yeah, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I love to connect with my community, and one of the ways that I like to do that is through this.
Yeah, that's how we met. Obviously got involved with the chamber and met you at your nonprofit showcase. And I told that story, I think it was the day before yesterday. We were at a chamber meeting, and they were like, what's a win that you've got from your short time in the chamber? And I was just like, dude, my first event, I met Danny O'Neill, and like we've done a bunch of stuff together, including like a gift drive, podcasting, and all that stuff. And that's one of many, many benefits of being involved in an organization like that and just being in front of your community.
I got to tell you, like, so when people find out, like, especially people who come in, so I own a tattoo shop. So when people come into Kinetic Ink, and then they say, wait, you're the one who runs Warfighter Overwatch? And then I half correct them and say, well, my wife runs the show, and I'm the mouthpiece a lot of the time. Warfighter Overwatch is our nonprofit that helps veterans and first responders. We have done absolutely amazing work. We're pretty humble about everything, but you know, we got nonprofit of the year. Kevin Kiley has picked us as nonprofit. It's huge for us.
Yeah.
Because we're small, you know, we're not very big, but we're mighty.
Yeah, you guys work your ass off for it too.
Yeah.
And for the people you guys help.
And I think that's important. Like I spoke yesterday, in fact, to a bunch of firefighters, these peer mentors, and I told them, well, one of them asked me, she said, so if I have, you know, a bunch of needs for you, if I start, am I going to overwhelm you? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to send me, but I'll tell you what, whatever you send me, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to figure it out. And if I can't make it happen, I'm going to get you to the person who can. That's my job.
Yeah.
So I was grateful, you know, I'm grateful that I get to do that. And like meet people like you who, you know, just same thing. You're busy in the community. People are, they're starting to know who you are, I think, and that's a very good thing when, number one, you run a business, and number two, when you're going to do something good, it's easy to have, you know, when you have a lot of resources, it's easy to fulfill those needs in your community. Yeah,
I mean, like I prioritize more so than, you know, like income, how most people would quantify success. Like I want to be a connector, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's because that will serve you so well in so many facets of life. You know, if you can, you know, if you got a guy or a gal for anything and anybody asks, and you're the resource that they go to. Like I always joke, I've become like the de facto handyman in my condo complex, because the second that you help somebody out, they glow about it to other people. And then they're like, all right, I want to, you know, maybe this guy can help me out too. And if you're willing to do that kind of thing, it goes a long way.
Yeah. It builds trust.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of switch gears. I had a few topics that that have come up over the last few weeks. And the first one I want to talk about is, you know, there's a quote from Mike Tyson that is something to the effect of, the internet has made a lot of people comfortable with talking shit and not getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Well, turns out
someone found out.
They found out the hard way, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was on a plane recently, and turns out he flies just like the rest of us. And he was on a regular commercial airplane, and a drunk person was on the plane and started initially just talking shit to him, and then eventually threw their water bottle at him.
Death wish.
I've made some pretty bad mistakes in my life.
Nothing like
Instigating a fucking physical altercation with Mike Tyson doesn't seem like it's going to be high on my priority list.
Has that guy never seen a Tyson highlight reel?
Apparently not. No. But what's Mike Tyson? He's 50-something years old.
Yeah.
And I think he's almost 60 maybe even. And I got to tell you, I watched him when he got in shape for the Roy Jones Jr. fight.
Yeah, he was shredded, dude.
And hitting those gloves and the bag, you're like, this dude is a monster right now.
Yeah.
I want no part of him.
Yeah.
What would possess someone to do that?
Xanax? Like, let's be honest, dude. That's probably what it was. Buddy probably doesn't like to fly.
That's a fair statement.
Fucking took some benzos and then had a drink at the airport or something and was acting like a clown. I mean, how many times? I've seen that 1 billion times.
And he got bloodied up. You know, Mike
the look on his face.
Oh, yeah, so dejected.
Oh, dude. It looked like a caricature. It looked like someone drew a cartoon. He had like a legitimate frowny face on.
I wanted to bring that up because I just wanted our folks out there to know that it's probably best to choose kindness. You never know what someone else is capable of, but you should know what the former heavyweight champ of the world is capable of.
Yeah, but most of the time you don't know if someone has like a gun or a knife on them.
Yeah.
But you know that you can catch Mike Tyson's hands, dude. Like, you have to know that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
Well, so I was wondering, because I think the guy was somewhat young. So there was, like, Mike Tyson went to prison for several years, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
When he got out, Mike was a mess.
Yeah.
And
have you read his autobiographies?
I have not.
He has 2, and they're excellent. He has one before Cuss died, and he was, like, out of boxing for the first time or something. Then he kind of made a resurgence, and then Cuss died, and he wrote another one. They're both, that guy is like, it's so funny because when you think of Mike Tyson, you think of the heavyweight champ, like this guy that will absolutely maul you. You think of the ear incident. You think of the reasons that he went to jail. You think of the tigers and all this shit.
Yeah.
That dude is like deeply, deeply sensitive. Like, possibly you could hurt Mike Tyson's feelings severely. That's how he grew up his whole life.
That's why you get punched in the mouth by guys like Mike Tyson.
100%.
Because when you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're easily offended. One of my, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of similar. My brothers used to give me a lot of shit when I was a kid about being a little crybaby or sissy or whatever, right? All that stuff. And a lot of, like, if they made fun of me or something, I didn't like it. Well, eventually I quit crying because I learned that didn't help. Mm-hmm. What did help? Punching them in the mouth. Yeah. My brothers don't mess with me anymore.
Yeah.
I digress. I think it's funny because this kid clearly didn't hear about an incident with a taxi driver. And I believe the guy talked shit to Mike. I don't remember what it was about. What I do know is Mike punched him. I think, like, gave him a 3-piece, and the dude folded up, and Mike got, he got sent to jail for that for a little bit again. He got another charge. But Mike doesn't care about that in the moment, right? Mm-mm. He cares about respect, and everything I've ever seen him when he talks, he's usually a very respectful, humble guy. But if you're disrespectful to him, or if he takes it personal as something,
it's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
and he says that straight up. He's like, and like it's really interesting to hear him talk about his growth, because he started talking about, like, it's like he finally matured in his 50s.
Yeah,
in his mind, and like, I'm using his words.
Yeah, but
like, it's interesting to hear him reflect back on some of the shit he was doing, like specifically the tigers. He's like, man, I look at that photo of me. I'm standing in like boxers, and I have 2 tigers with chains, and I'm just holding them in my backyard. And he's like, I don't even know who the fuck that is. Yeah. Like, that guy was like clinically insane. And like, that's what gave him his competitive edge. I know that Cus D'Amato, his trainer, was also having him like hypnotized and shit. As like a young kid. He basically adopted Tyson, moved him out to the Catskills, and just trained he was beating the asses of like 16, 17-year-olds, I think, in Golden Gloves when he was like 13.
He set the record. So there's this, in fact, I think there might be like a movie or something about it, like maybe from his younger years or something, but there was an incident where right before Mike went out on Golden Gloves, he punched one of the lockers with his glove. And it was like, and I heard this is all true. It knocked over like 6 or 8 or whatever, like
dominoed a whole locker room.
Well, on the other side of that was his opponent.
Oh shit!
And so he was like already intimidated because this Mike had arms. I mean, the dude's a tank. He's like,
how do you get in the ring after that, dude? This dude just like hulked 6 lockers over.
Set the record for the fastest knockout in Golden Gloves history.
Yeah, I think I remember reading about.
It's like
that.
8 seconds or something. Goes out there.
It was like a 1-punch knockout.
Yes,
just absolutely leveled him, dude. I can't. You know. Like speaking of boxing, dude, I was a huge Deontay Wilder fan.
Yeah.
When he first came out and was just dominating.
Yeah.
But then that whole incident happened where he lost and then he blamed it on his stupid outfit that he wore out. He was like, that thing was 40 pounds.
It was heavy. Yeah.
It's like, dude, then don't wear a giant gold like gladiator suit. What are you doing? I don't understand to use that.
When I see those guys in the back anyways, and I'm thinking they've been out there for like an hour, like I'm like, that's a lot of energy. Like you want to be warmed up, but I don't want to waste all my energy.
Yeah. I don't like hitting a full bucket of balls before a round of golf sometimes, dude. I'm doubling the amount of swings I'm going to take today. I'm just going to tire myself out.
I boxed in the Army twice. And I'll tell you how this happened. So it was like ladies' night, but this was in Korea. So I'm in the Army. My buddy and I would go over to these slot machines and the Warriors Club there at Camp Casey, and we would go drink. And so we go over there. We go have a few drinks, end up getting maybe a little more intoxicated than I should have. And anyhow, he said, oh, they got this little boxing thing. Now I'm half drunk, and I'm like, oh, I'll fucking box. And he's like, bullshit. And I said, oh, I'll go over there. So the next day was the weigh-ins. So he calls me, and it's like at lunchtime. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Did you go over to weigh-in? And I thought he meant like we had height and weight. Like we had
yeah.
It's like, what? we got height and weight right now? And he's like, oh, I knew you weren't going to go over there. And I said, go over where? He's like, the boxing thing. I was like, oh, where the fuck is it at? And he's like, over at the gym. So I walk over to the gym. I go weigh in. I'm 155 pounds. So, but I'm pretty shredded. So I go back over there. We box on Saturday. This is Fridays because we were drinking Thursday night. So on Saturday, go over there. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I've never done this before. Yeah. So I have another guy tape my hands because he knows what he's doing. And that was like the first time my hands had ever been taped. That felt pretty good.
Yeah, you're like, I could beat the shit out of somebody with
That's
this,
exactly
dude.
what I thought.
Yeah.
So my squad leader was like, hey, I'll be your corner man. I said, all right. So he's got water for me, and he's got a little towel. And the first round, so there are 2-minute rounds. I thought I was going to fucking die.
Yeah, dude.
I thought I was going to die. I was so tired. When I got back to so it was pretty even the first round. When I got back to my corner, it felt like I just ran a PT test, like 2 miles. Fucking, I am dead. I need a cigarette.
Yeah, right.
Someone
give me a Diet Coke.
Yeah. So I'm fucking, I'm like, I got to knock this dude out. And he's like, well, let's go fucking drink. Knock this dude out. And I was a party guy at the time. I drank a lot. So I was like, all right. So I go back out there, and he's breathing pretty heavy too. Mm. He was from 29 Infantry, which was the unit right across from ours. I was Fister over at 1st of 15th Field Artillery. I was actually a 29 Fister. That was the infantry guys that I was a Fister for. So anyhow, this fucking guy, he comes out, and I kind of had my hands low, and he takes a haymaker. And I just ducked, and I hit him one time about as good as I could hit someone, and he fell like down on his knees and then forward. Boom. And I don't know what to do. So he's like, go to neutral corner. But it's this Korean dude who's the guy. So I really didn't understand what he was saying. And I was like, everybody in the gym's going crazy now.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
can't hear shit.
No. And so I start to go to my corner, and he's yelling at me again. He's not counting. And I'm like, fucking count. And he's like, go to a neutral corner. And then he looks back at the guy, and he's like, that's it. We're done. And I was like, yeah. So I go to my corner. We come back out. They give me like a little medal or whatever, right? And he raised my hand. I go back to my corner. We take the gloves off, cut my hands free. I went back and took a shower, and we started drinking straight away. So before we would go down range, I went to the bowling alley to go have a couple beers there. and the guy was down there, and he's got 2 black eyes. His nose is broke, and I was like, "Fuck, dude! Like, are you cool?" He's like, "Yeah, man, that was a good one, bud." And I was like, "All right." He was cool. Like, I was a little sore, you know,
dude. I say that all the time. Like, I don't like to fight. I've been in several, but I hate them because even when you win, it hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Dude. Your hands are all busted up. You know, like, it's not like you're punching with any form in a street brawl. So like your wrists are all sprained and shit. Yeah. You're just a mess, dude. Yeah. And if you catch 1 or 2 punches in the face, you've got a cracked nose. You've got a bloody lip. Like, dude, my best friend in the world, Jake Payne, threw a haymaker on me one night when I was acting like an asshole. It was one of those nights where you drink a whole bottle of tequila. And this is like 8 years ago. And he always told me, he's like, dude, you know, like, I used to box a little bit, like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I was just like, you're not gonna do shit. Before I could even finish that sentence, dude, this fool just threw a right hook and fractured my jaw, split my molar, one of my molars, and then I had to get 7 stitches in my lip, dude. And I remember, like, I was pissed for about an hour, and then after that I was like, okay, totally deserved that. He was like, he felt so bad for so long that, like, I would, like, eventually got to the point I was like, dude, it's cool.
It's all good.
It's good. We're good. But, like, I remember, I was like, all right, I'm like, I'll get over this, whatever. I'm just going to call my doctor, get stitched up. So I call my doctor up, and, my doctor, dude, this guy, so he's been semi-retired. He's not my doctor anymore. I'm going to make that very clear. This guy sucks, dude. But he was like my pediatrician before I got older, and then, like, you know, went to college, and every time I come home, I'd go see him or whatever. He's my mom's doctor too. His wife is my mom's doctor. But I go in there, dude, and this guy's semi-retired, and he's like, he phones it in as a doctor. He's like the world's shittiest doctor. He's just like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? And so he just doesn't want to deal with anyone's shit. And so I come in, I can barely talk to this dude. Like, I was on the phone with the receptionist, and, like, my lip was literally filleted out. Like, I could stick my lip, like, imagine cutting it, like, way down in here and then being able to flap it out of your mouth. Oh. Like, my whole bottom row of teeth cut it open. And so, like, I could barely talk because it's like I had this extra tongue basically in my mouth just flopping around. And so I was like, I need stitches. And so she was just like, all right, come in. So I drive myself in, and this dude just, like, berates me the whole time. He's just like, yeah, another drunken night. You know what I mean? Like, as he's stitching me up, he's just talking mad shit, and I can't say anything back because he's literally stitching my lip up. And he's just, like, giving me this, I'm so disappointed talk, like, don't bring this shit back to my office kind of conversation. Yeah. That was the last time I saw that dude. I was like, fuck you, man. I need to get stitched up, and you just sit here and, like, literally, like, the only thing he didn't do was grab literal salt and pour it in the wound.
It's time to grow up, Brian.
Yeah, that's what it was, dude. That's what it was. And, like, I was bouncing at the time, like, world's smallest bouncer, but I was bouncing at the time, and I lied to this dude through my teeth. I was like, it happened at work. This happened at work. I was bouncing. He was like, oh, this happened at work, so do I need to file a workman's comp claim? And I was like, no. Like, dude.
It's all good. Yeah. Stitch me up.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen Roadhouse, dog?
God, dude. Yeah. I was like, next time I'm going to go to my vet, bro. Yeah. Like, my vet would have been way cooler about that.
So I thought I was in trouble after the boxing thing. Not that night, but on Monday, because I was walking through the battalion area, and the Sergeant Major yelled at me through his window. I was a corporal at the time. Corporal O'Neill, come here. So, moving, Sergeant Major. So I run in there. I run into the battalion, and I go, his office is the first door on the right. So I stand at his door, and, yes, Sergeant Major, come in here. Did you get in a fight over the weekend? And I'm thinking back in my head, like, oh, fuck.
Did I
fuck someone up, like, get too fucked up and I punched someone or something?
Yeah.
It happened a time or two. And I was like, negative, Sergeant Major. He's like, you didn't win the boxing tournament over there, the boxing smoker they had at the oh, Roger, Sergeant Major, I did win
I did get in that fight. Yeah.
Yes, I did, Sergeant Major. And he's like, I heard you knocked the guy out. And I said, well, yeah, something like that. He said, well, come here, I'm going to give you a coin. So,
hell yeah.
Give me a fucking battalion coin. So then the next time they have another boxing smoker, and he comes up to me, and this is like 3 days away. Because I was like, oh, if we do it again, I'll train.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And so he goes, because I didn't give a shit. And he was like, hey, they're having another boxing tournament. Are you going to go over there and represent the battalion or what? And I was like, oh, sure, Sergeant Major. So I go over there. And the guy that I'm going to fight is weighing in at the same time. You can just go there, like it's like a 2-hour period or whatever it is. So I went over there, and I went to go in, and he happened to, it was like, we're 158 or whatever. And so he's going to be the guy that I'm going to box. But he didn't show up. Now, I don't know what happened, but he didn't come. So Sergeant Cook from my battalion decided, well, I'll fight with Corporal O'Neill. And he had boxed a few times, so it was fine. Now, on one of them, he stepped on my shoe and then pushed me and lifted his foot off my foot, and I fell back. And they counted a knockdown, so then I was angry. So I threw a fake jab to his stomach and clocked him, and I won again. And
so you're 2-0 in the boxing world?
Yeah, and Sergeant Major was like, they watched that. One of the guys filmed it. He recorded it. They were in the...
Smart. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, they were down in the little day room on the big screen, just that one part over and over, me clocking him and him just going, oh.
Hell yeah.
I liked it. But same thing. He didn't really hit me, but a couple times maybe, and it was like on my arm, kind of blocked it a little bit. But the next day, I was so sore.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this. So anyways, I would never pick a fight with Mike Tyson.
No. That was unbelievable. I haven't heard anything more. I really hope Mike doesn't get charged. That seems silly. If that motherfucker that rushed the stage at Chappelle's show, that Chappelle's stand-up didn't get charged, like, they shouldn't charge Mike Tyson.
But they're charging that guy with misdemeanors, but no felony or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're referring it to the city or something. I haven't heard anything more than that.
Yeah. So this landmark leak from the Supreme Court from SCOTUS about overturning Roe versus Wade has the entire world in an uproar right now. Mm-hmm. And I find it interesting, and I'll state my personal opinion, but it's just my personal opinion. But I'm pro-choice. And the reason I am is because I think that if someone was raped or whatever, they should be able to choose. Now, I don't think that it should be a free-for-all, but, should we have it or not have it? Well, that's my opinion.
I share that opinion.
I think it's interesting, though, and this is why I brought it up. Over the last 2 years, the world has gone fucking bonkers, right? It's the craziest time I've ever lived through. And I lived in war for a couple of years of my life. Yeah. But COVID has made people nuts, right? So you have your vaxxers, your anti-vaxxers, or your people who think they should have a choice. If I want to have a vaccination, I should have it. I shouldn't have to be worried about losing my job, and being able to take care of my family if I don't get a shot that the government says I have to have. I agreed with that because I think people should have personal choice, and the government should not tell me what I need to do. They can make recommendations, but at the end of the day, it should be my choice.
100%.
That sounds like a free country to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I find I think it's a conundrum. I feel like it's very interesting that we have people who are, you have to take it or fire your ass, right? And they're the same people who say the government should not tell them that they can or cannot have an abortion. And I think it's funny because we're saying the same things, but with a slightly different context, whether it's you should be able to choose whether or not you have a vaccination, you should be able to choose whether or not you have an abortion. I think it's interesting that the people who are pro-choice, a woman's right to choose, are generally pro-vaccination, forcible vaccination by the government.
Yeah.
And that may be just my bias or my opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't think that your bias has anything to do with pointing out hypocrisy, because that is incredibly hypocritical.
Yeah.
It's weird that there's the same people want to mandate on one thing and complete freedom on the other.
Yeah.
I guess there's an argument for some nuance there, but I think that arguably the most hypocritical thing about all this, have you seen some of this news that's coming out of Louisiana, where they're talking about making an abortion punishable by death. So these ultra pro-life people want you to live. They're so pro-life, they'll kill you. Can we think of it? Like, can we talk about that for a second? They're so pro-life, they'll kill you.
I'm probably not supposed to laugh at something so serious, but it sounds so stupid.
It's so stupid. They're so pro-life, they'll kill you. They're also saying that that there's a possibility of outlawing IVF, because when you do IVF, it's not like they take one egg and one sperm cell and they say, all right, fingers crossed. They take a whole bunch.
Several. Yeah.
And then they either freeze and later dispose of them or dispose of them at the time. And they're saying, so what they do is they mix a bunch together. Mm-hmm. It sounds like we're talking about a fucking cake recipe, but
yeah.
They mix a bunch together.
Well, it's baby batter.
Oh, God.
No, too soon?
Disgusting.
Okay.
So they make a bunch of batter. They pull out the fertilized eggs, and then they implant one. If it takes, perfect. If not, then there's, fallbacks. Right. This is my understanding of it.
Yeah.
I have a very
basic
elementary understanding of IVF. But that,
and then if it works, they dispose
of the other ones, or they freeze them. But like, you can't just freeze them forever. So like, ultimately, many of them get destroyed. But according to how this bill is defining life, or personhood is what they're calling it.
This is how they're interpreting.
At fertilization, that's a person. So if you're unable to have a child and you go the IVF route and this law were to somehow pass, and I don't think this lunacy would make it so far that someone gets arrested for murder for using IVF to have a child. Yeah. I mean, saying I don't think so. I hope not. This world is getting dumber and dumber by the minute. Yeah. But like, that's absurd. Now, I also, again, could be misspeaking here, but I'm also under the impression that the overturning of Roe v. Wade still gives the states the ability to allow it. It's not like overturning Roe v. Wade bans abortion.
Right.
Because Roe v. Wade only protected abortion.
Right, which is it's just a federal protection. Right. Is what they would be losing.
Yes.
So the states can still make their own
still make their own rules. And I remember seeing a map that there's like, now this is horrible. It's like 14 or 15 more states than it should be, but there's like 14 or 15 states. And they basically go from the southeast and kind of curve up to curve over to Texas and then up the Midwest, right? So it's like the Bible Belt and the fucking Midwest.
Yeah.
And so it's really shitty that we would force people to have to go elsewhere to get that done, because really I think the only thing this does is usher in a higher possibility of unsafe
black market shit. It's exactly what's going to happen. Like, it's like, see, this is,
or people taking drugs that are not meant for human consumption. Like there's a veterinary drug that is used to treat something in horses that works as like a Plan B pill too. So it's like, I don't want people doing that.
No. The government has learned nothing about like prohibition or the things they tell us back on we can't do.
No. And I mean, like, drugs are a great example.
Yeah, so the government tells us things we can't do, like, hey, we're gonna we're gonna have prohibition, there's no alcohol, and I forgot the suffrage movement, right? So alcohol's bad, and I get it. Like, a lot of these women were getting abused by people who were drunk. I get it, okay? But when we tell people you can't have alcohol, you can't have marijuana, but you can go to the pharmacist, you can go to your doctor, and he'll give you, and back then, all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that we still believe if we tell people they cannot have something, that we haven't realized they're going to do it by any means necessary, right? Mexico will give us the stuff we need, or all these other countries that don't really give a shit.
Well, that's what I was like. It's funny. I was listening to a different podcast earlier, and he's willing to say a little more than I am because he's a comedian and it's clearly satire.
Yeah.
But like, he was talking about illegal but very, very lucrative trades. So he's like, great time to be a rhino horn salesman. Ooh. You saw one rhino horn and that's worth 75 grand, and you're probably living in like the Serengeti. So like, morally bankrupt, but also very lucrative.
Right.
And like, that's all these are like, and he made several other examples. He's like, abortions outside the United States, about to be very profitable. Chinese fentanyl, super profitable. Don't sell it, don't take it, but very profitable. Like, he's not wrong, dude. And those are all like, I mean, I understand that there's a trade-off. If you legalize something, it's going to get way cheaper. It's going to get way less lucrative for these black market, you know, the underbelly of these organizations that are trafficking in these things. Yeah. But the trade-off is that now it's going to be commonplace. I mean, most of it already is, dude.
You know, like even with, so on the topic of fentanyl, right? So you have people who want to try drugs. Life is pretty shitty with COVID. Everybody's locked down. There's not a whole lot. Fuck it, let's do some cocaine. Okay. And then the problem is you're not getting cocaine. You're getting cocaine that was on the same table as fentanyl, and a tiny bit will kill you. And you don't know if it's in that line or this line or whatever. Like the cadets from West Point who were down in Florida for spring break. So 5 of them died. And what I was told was 3 of them took what they thought was cocaine. 2 of them tried to provide CPR and died.
Whoa.
By inhaling that shit, doing mouth to mouth. Isn't that crazy?
Whoa.
So these guys are trying to be heroes and save their buddy, right? Because fuck, they're just having some fun. But you can't have fun like in 1980s.
I read an article, and again, I don't know how true this is, but I read an article that they said in Sacramento they bought, I don't know who I don't remember, it's some law enforcement agency, bought like 10,000 street pills. They tested 10,000 street pills in Sac County, and 94% of them tested positive for fent. Not half, not 3/4, 94%, dude. That's scary as shit. Like, I really am, like, I have friends that still like to party, dude. Yeah. Like, I do. And I don't judge them at all.
Right.
Do your fucking thing. But I demand that they fucking test their shit.
Yeah.
Fentanyl test strips, dude, they're like $2 a pop. Oh, wow. You can buy a 100-pack of them for, you know, $100 if you buy them in bulk.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So they look like litmus dippers.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you have a vial, you have a solution.
Yep.
You know, if you're dropping acid, you cut a little piece of your blotter off. If you're doing coke, you take a little spoon of it and put it in the thing. Shake it up, dip that strip in. If it turns blue, there's fent in it. Don't touch it. Like, that is so easy to do. And if you're going to go through all the bullshit to buy drugs, like, you know, waiting somewhere for fucking 2 hours while that dealer says he's on his way, like, you're already doing so much stupid shit if you're doing drugs. So just do one more stupid fucking thing that could save your life. Or, you know, carry some Narcan, but don't only carry one, because there's so much fent and shit now that it'll save your life for 20 minutes and then you're out again.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's so wild.
It's crazy, dude.
So we've had 2 moms that I'm aware of come into the tattoo shop to do memorial tattoos for their kids who died of fentanyl. Right. Damn. One of them, Zach Didier, his mom came in, and so he was a student here at in Rockland. I'm pretty sure in Rockland, and he had like a scholarship to UCLA. This kid was a stud, and he took what he thought was Percocet he got on like fucking Snapchat or something, and it killed him. So she started this thing, one pill can kill, and like she goes and talks to students about it. And before she came in, I'd kind of become a little bit of aware, because it was on the news a bunch, and I don't really watch it, but my wife watches the news. So a couple times I'll see small clips. Mm-hmm. And I saw that there was like some kind of ridiculous numbers. And to be honest with you, I thought it seemed ridiculous. That seemed too outlandish to me. So I looked, and the number one cause of death from an 18 to 40-year-old, it isn't cancer and it isn't COVID. It's fentanyl. Yeah. And I said, are you fucking kidding? What do you mean the number one death, like killer? The number one killer of people 18 to 40 is fentanyl? How is that possible? Well, what you just said was all these street pills or whatever people think they're getting, just take a pill because a pill's safe.
Yeah.
The fuck it is.
Especially if it says Percocet on it, has that code that you can Google and verify that the pill is what you think it is. Like, there's a false sense of security there that people really they just don't know how close they're playing with death. I mean, it's nuts. And like when you look at, I read a book on fentanyl because it's been really interesting how quickly it came on the scene and how quickly it's been killing just a shit ton of people.
Yeah.
And like what China is doing with this fentanyl is like almost like I think that it should be considered an act of war. Like honestly. So they have state subsidized labs that are pumping out kilos and kilos and kilos and kilos and kilos of this shit and sending it over here in bulk off of like shit like the dark web. But like they're literally, there's like 12 of them. And I read a book about written by a dude that infiltrated them. He actually went out there and was able to find them and was able to get inside. And they are like hyper fucking industrial labs, like these, like Breaking Bad super lab type looking shit.
Just making fentanyl.
And they have them in office buildings like this one. Like they literally were in single story office suites. They pulled up, so they're completely disguised. They don't look like anything, but they're just these labs where they're synthesizing fent, and then they're sending it over here by the kilo, knowing that it's killing thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it's eerily similar to the opium wars. I don't know how, but like the opium wars between London and China was the same shit. Yeah. Like London or England wanted to absolutely enslave Chinese people back then to opium because they knew that they were all addicted as shit and they could control everything. And like, it's eerily similar to that.
What a fucking crazy world.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Who would have thought like this was going to be like the warfare, like the thing you would have to worry about?
Shit you can't see. Everybody's been so worried about like actual war.
Yeah.
Like conventional war, that you're not seeing all this behind the scenes shit that people are doing. It's scary. Crazy. And it's so manipulative. I mean, like this, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, dude, all these Republicans are posting screenshots of their follower counts. And it's like up until April 25th or whatever day it was that he bought it, they were gaining like 2,000 followers a day, 2,000 followers a day, 1,500. And then boom, 50,000, 75,000, 25,000. And it's just like every day. And so it's like, are they trying to unwind all the shit? Like there's just, and I don't even care what side's doing it. I just want them all to stop. Like,
yeah,
it just feels so dystopian where we're headed, dude.
So, well, I mean, like as an American and someone who's read the Constitution, I'll admit that I feel every time we write new laws, and I think it's the same way. It's like you get a new commander or something, and they say they're going to make these until further notice, like everything, the policies and procedures that were in place are going to continue. But when we have, so then they'll make some new rule so that they can say, I'm doing my job. They can tell because I made a new rule. Well, every time we have like these fucking legislators make new laws, I feel like they're trampling on all of our rights. And I know that they are. Little by little by little, they're taking more. And the whole purpose of our government setup was to prevent that, to stop them from having total control, being a totalitarian, society, or, it's the same thing like, oh, they have all the guns and we don't. No, the Second Amendment's very fucking specific, but, without the second, you don't have the first. Like, people complain about all this nonsense. Meanwhile, right in front of them, these politicians are fucking doing whatever they want.
It's like all these people who were talking about when they were seizing the Russian oligarchs' yachts and shit. They were like, oligarchs? What the fuck is an oligarch? I'm glad that we don't have oligarchs. I'm like, we don't?
Really?
We don't? How about Pelosi, dude? She's a fucking oligarch.
Are you kidding?
There's a bunch of oligarchs here, dude. We just call them congressmen.
That's exactly right.
It's super weird how rich they all are. And like,
well, right. So didn't Pelosi's buying some place down in Florida? She's bought like all this ridiculous stuff. How do you get rich? Serving the public.
She just went to Kyiv.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Like if I was Zelensky, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing here?
the fuck out of here.
I'd be like, leave, dude. This place is dangerous right now.
Yeah, grab an AK or get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, or get the fuck out. We don't need diplomats right now.
Yeah.
You know? I heard that Putin's going under the knife, dude.
Really?
Yeah. I heard that he's having surgery. I guess he has Parkinson's and abdominal cancer.
No shit.
Yeah, and apparently they're doing some sort of operation on his abdomen, and like nobody knows when, nobody knows where, but like kind of timely.
All right, so now for conspiracy theorist stuff. Okay,
I need to put like a roll of foil under here.
We
so
did
we
put
can
it.
just
We should
wrap up.
We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when in North Korea they were like, yeah, so Kim just disappeared. We don't know where it is.
Yeah, for like 3 months, dude. That dude was gone.
So now we have, so like, how long is it going to be before when they do this stuff or a coup happens or whatever, is it going to be like some robot or some artificial intelligence shit and we're fooled?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is Putin, is he going to die? Is he already dead? And then now we're going to have some fake,
Dude, wouldn't that be
Putin.
funny? Wouldn't that be funny if Kim Jong-un is actually dead and all the North Korean robots they have are like every robot you've ever seen, they're super skinny and tall.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck, we need to mod these robots, dude. So like they got to figure out how to make like a portly robot.
A little short, fat,
short, fat fucking robot. Dude, we were talking about mannequins the other day, dude. So yeah, like, have you seen mannequins lately? Oh, dude, they've got like big old mannequins now. There's like a certain pragmatism to them though, because like if you're larger and you go and you see all these mannequins, you're like, all right, I like that outfit. I would try that outfit on.
Yeah.
But like, how the fuck would it look on me? I don't look like mannequins, dude. I always go into like, if I go in somewhere, especially if they sell like Under Armour or Nike, like golf polos, like we're fucking wearing. Have you seen those mannequins?
Those are jacked.
They're so jacked. They're like 6'3", and they're just like, yeah.
I'm 5'10", bro. I'm 205. Like, come on.
Yeah, dude. Like, I get them.
Dude, 6'3", 190. He's like, 6% body fat.
Yeah, dude. It's like the guy's a specimen. Like, the shirt will not look like that on me. So I get that. But yeah, that would be funny if they had to make a little Kim Jong-un bot.
Looks like Bruce Jenner when he was still a man. Can we say that? I'm going to get in trouble like Dave Chappelle. Some guy's going to jump up on stage, try to stab me with his fake gun knife.
Yeah, his gun knife.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to have.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I believe Dave Chappelle knows a little bit of, like, I think either jiu-jitsu or something, taekwondo or something.
He's homies with Joe. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I feel like once you meet Joe Rogan and become friends with him, his jiu-jitsu just kind of rubs off on you. Like, all of those guys roll.
And you eat more elk.
Yeah. I would love to eat elk every day. I would crush elk every day.
And he's pretty good at cooking it because he does it every day.
Yeah.
I heard that. So a couple years ago, they had a fire down there where his house was when he was down in, I don't know, the Malibu or wherever the fuck he was at.
Yeah.
He like fed his neighbors and the firefighters and shit. He fed like a ton of people because he had like, I think the power was out or something. So he had like all this fucking elk.
Yeah.
Anyways,
A whole
he's
bunch
like,
of
here,
elk
let's
meat.
feed all you dudes.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I'll take some elk steaks.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I never ate as good as I did on the wildfires, bro. They would pull up these big rigs. Like so they'd pull up 2 big rigs. One of them was like a triple deck bunk trailer. And you'd go in this thing and it would be like 60 degrees and it would be pitch black. And there was just 3 bunks. Like it looked like battleship fucking bunks, dude. And they would just pull this thing onto the fire because it was so goddamn hot, dude. All day, like just sweating your ass off. And you would crawl in this thing and just freeze. And it was pitch black.
I could sleep like that. It's like a cocoon.
Yes, dude. I loved that thing. That thing was so money, especially after sleeping in a tent for a month. Because I was on the second fire I went to. The first one was shit. The second one, we had that badass trailer. But then they would also pull up another big rig trailer that had been made into a kitchen. And dude, I gained weight on the fires, I think. Like they would just hand you like a 12-ounce sirloin, like a shit ton of potato. Like I would seriously like have to double plate back to my little hole, dude. It was awesome. We were burning like a shit ton of calories every day, dude. It was hard work.
I got a buddy now who just told me, like the other day, he came in, he got a tattoo, and he said he's been running this water truck, and he's got he needs a couple guys to come out there, but they need like a Class C or A license, whatever. I think it's Class C.
Bartender dudes make so much money out there.
He's been killing it. He said it's a hand over fist, man. He's like, it's easy. It's, it's long hours you're out there, but it's not hard work.
We had this dude, I remember chopping it up with this guy that drove a water tender in our like staging area. It was like you've been to like field exercises where your whole fucking battalion's just sleeping on a big clearing. That's what it was. But the winds, like obviously we're working wildfire, so the winds are crazy.
Yeah.
And this one water tender dude, I was talking to him, he's like, I make about $30,000 every 45 days out here. Like over $1,000 a day. This guy didn't even own the company. He was just out there, but he's getting like hazard pay and all this shit. And all he did, this particular driver at least, all he did was drive around and spray the dust on the ground so that everything wasn't dusty as fuck.
Yeah.
That's literally all he did. He didn't have to transport water anywhere else. Like it
just camp.
Yeah. Probably boring as shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good though that some people can find like a little niche and make money on it, and that's the American way. That's capitalism.
One of my buddies who I met through my cousin, he lives out in Dallas. Like his family, I guess they're pretty well off. I don't know a lot about his whole family, but I asked him like what he did and what his family does because I believe he works for the family business.
Yeah,
they manufacture bottle caps.
See, what a like niche thing. Like
who would ever think that you could make like intergenerational wealth manufacturing bottle caps? I don't know. I don't know who thought of that. Well, they did.
Listen, some guy said, these wicked pisses smell. We probably need to put a little hockey puck in there. There's got to be some guy from the Northeast, bro. He's got to be
tired of smelling this shit.
He's a fucking Southie.
Yeah.
Fucking wicked pisses stinks over here. That's
100%, dude.
Yeah. He's like, we'll just make it look like a hockey puck.
Think about how much money has been generated from the urinal cake. Like you have, first of all, every urinal cake that's ever been sold. So that's like probably trillions of dollars.
Yep.
And then you have all the advertisement that's been placed on to urinal cakes, which is probably billions of dollars. And then you have all of the people that printed the advertisement on those urinal cakes, which probably more billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. That's a serious that's a serious industry, dude. Who would have thought? Who would have thought of that?
We got to come up with something
that solves a really basic problem, dude.
Listen, this is your homework until the next podcast. You got to find something that we can get super rich off of that doesn't require us to do a whole lot. Like even this, okay, think about like the fucking guy who had like, we need porta johns.
Yeah.
We just take them out there, little plastic hut.
Because like really it doesn't necessarily solve a problem. It just makes it a little more convenient.
Yeah, that makes it less messy.
Because like really you could just dig a hole,
Yeah.
But like who wants to do that?
So in the Army, like sometimes we dig a hole with the e-tool or whatever. Eventually I got this like a plastic chair from Walmart.
Yeah.
And I drew a crown on it and I put the throne. So, and I cut a hole in the middle so you could go sit on a chair and shit. And it would be like a toilet because, we had Bradley, so I could just strap this thing to the fucking...
Have you seen the 5-gallon bucket lids?
No.
Dude, at Bass Pro, they have a 5-gallon bucket lid that has a toilet lid on it, and then they build a toilet seat around it. So you just pop a bag in a 5-gallon, pop that thing on top, it fits any 5-gallon.
And you're good to go.
And you're dumping, dude. And then you can just pull that bag out, knot it up.
That's pretty smart.
Good to go.
See?
I had a... I just remembered this. I gave away my truck a couple of years ago. I traded it for a bunch of service from my buddy Dylan, who owns Mass Appeal Auto Care. And this truck, I was gonna my HOA was gonna fucking tow it. I never moved it, and I was like, I don't want this thing, and it needed a lot of work. And he had the shop, so I was like, I'll just give you this thing. You can build it up as a shop truck. Give me a couple oil changes, and we're Gucci. But when I had that truck, I was fishing a lot in it, and I'd just pull that shit up right up to the river and stuff. And I remember I was in a 4-wheel parts one day or a Bass Pro or something like that, and I was in the auto section, and I found a toilet seat that had a trailer hitch on it. So you could just pop it in your trailer receiver, like your ball
just sit
receiver,
there on the
and
back
you'd
of it.
sit on the back of your truck and take a shit. So
I'm going to go home tonight. It's Friday. This is what you do when you're 40 and it's Friday. I'm going to go smoke some pot and I'm going to invent something that's like super, super handy. Like the guy who came up with either the bug assault or the back scratcher, because those guys are my heroes right now.
the bug assault's pretty sick.
You know, blast some flies, and it's a pretty cool deal. When we were in Iraq, we had fly swatters that were like tennis rackets, but they were electric. So they
Oh yeah, dude, I used to have one of those too.
pop those
Yeah,
guys.
those things are sick. I'm pretty sure we got one of those when I was a kid at like Target in that seen on TV section or something. These things hurt.
Oh yeah, when it shocks you.
Yeah, they don't feel good.
We took, so we're dickheads, so we took like the little plastic part that was on the top that you're supposed to, like, the flies go in between. We took that off so we could hit each other with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mine didn't have a plastic shroud. This was in like the late 90s.
You had no
dude.
safeties in
Yeah. This was the late 90s, dog. It wasn't. This was not recent.
I like it.
Yeah, dude. You hear that thing pop?
Well, thank you for doing this with me, man.
Yeah, dude. So, I got a topic for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard all this drama about Phil Mickelson?
About how he's like not doing the
So,
tour or whatever
Started with all that
because of the Saudi.
Yeah, so he's like wanting to play for the Saudi tour right now.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a unauthorized biography being released right now.
I heard about this.
And
Because the guy who's writing it or who wrote it, he's like
He's a golf
He's a
writer.
golf journalist, right? Yeah.
He's a golf writer, and like, just a disclaimer, he's kind of a dickhead too. Like he's never liked Phil, so take it for what it is.
Yeah.
But like, they said that Phil was investigated for insider trading in 2016. He wasn't insider trading; his bookie was.
Right.
So his bookie gets busted for insider trading. Phil has to pay back $1 million or something in ill-begotten gains. And that was the end of that. But this journalist got in touch with somebody who has access to the documents that they reviewed for like Phil Mickelson's like taxes pretty much.
I did not hear this.
So, dude, they reported that between over a 4-year period, I can't remember if it's from 2000, I think it's from like 14 to 18, but it could be 10 to 14. I don't recall. But over a 4-year period, he had $40 million in gambling losses.
I did just hear about this $40 million in gambling losses.
Dude. So think about this. I read this breakdown today.
All right.
He was making during those years, it was at the height of his, so it must have been, because it was prior to his winless years from like 17 to 20 or whatever, whenever he won the player or the PGA.
Uh-huh.
So during those years that he reported these losses, he was making enough money. I think he was making about $40 million a year during those years.
Yeah.
But after taxes, that's $20 million.
Right.
After private jets, swing coaches, after his chef, his trainers, his staff,
Yeah.
all that shit, they estimate that he's like barely breaking even, dude. And it's like, how the fuck do you? I have no idea what Phil I mean, like, he also has a ton of endorsements and shit.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure he's breaded. Yeah, I'm sure he's breaded. But like, dude, how do you lose $40 million in like $40 million in gambling losses? What is he playing? Is he playing card games? Is he betting on sports? Like, is he betting horses? Like, what the fuck, dude?
You know,
Quit.
did you watch The Last Dance?
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls. Okay, so and back then, now listen, I was a kid when Jordan was playing and when he was at the height of his career, and I was a kid when his dad was murdered. And I will never forget, because up until I watched The Last Dance, I think I still didn't like know exactly what happened. But what I do remember was what ESPN made me think happened. And what was that? That was that Jordan Michael had gambling problems.
Gambling
and his fucking dad was murdered because Jordan had a gambling problem.
Yep.
And that was, could you imagine?
That's so fucked up, dude.
Could you imagine like your dad getting murdered and people were like, because this dude does XYZ, because he was gambling. He makes so much money. What you're worried about him gambling, he doesn't give two shits about that money. In fact, I know for a fact that he makes more money off shoes now than he did playing basketball back then.
Yeah, dude.
Because I buy them.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Jordan, like, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck
No.
about what he made in basketball.
No, $10,000 flipping a quarter, he doesn't give a shit. $10,000 to him is less than the $10 for you.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, if you do the math, it's like...
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
But I think we expect, though, when someone is the one person who is the best at their craft, you kind of expect that they're getting paid at least a lot.
Well, and like what most people don't understand, too, they're like, you know, I've seen a lot of, like, there was this one meme that circulated a few years back. Honestly, it's probably when Kaepernick was getting just lambasted in the media.
Yeah.
But there was like a picture of a bunch of football players that, you know, all had multi-million-dollar contracts. And then there was one of like a soldier kneeling at his buddy's, you know, boots and rifle.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can we pay these guys millions of dollars and these guys, you know, 40, 50 grand a year? And like at the time as a young soldier, like I can see how a lot of young soldiers could be like, yeah, fuck that. You know what I mean? But like at the time I was like, what do you mean, bro? Like, first of all, there's a couple thousand of them. There's like 2,000, 2,500 people in the NFL. Mm-hmm. There's only like starters for 32 teams, dude.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
There are many positions in the NFL where like there's only one in the club. There's one per club.
Yep.
So it's like, and on top of that, for these like receivers and shit, like I watch a Pat McAfee show every fucking day, every single day. And like the guys that he talks to, like they're 35, they're only a couple years older than me, and they are like geriatric, body wise. Like they, and God forbid some of them mentally too. Like there are a lot of dudes that got fucked up in the head from all those hits, but like they only have X amount of time to make their money. So I never get mad at them. Like get your check, dude. Yeah. Get your check and then retire, get out of the game. You don't have to get out of the game. You can stay involved with the league. You can coach. You can advise young athletes. You can coach at a different level. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad those guys are getting paid a shit ton of money because they're willing to lay it all out on the line knowing that they're taken care of. They're fine should something happen.
The billionaire owner is the one making, you know, all this money. So now that they're starting to get theirs, I'm not mad at them.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. You know, with Kaepernick, I'm actually buddies with Nate Boyer. And Nate, so he was a special forces guy. He practiced long snapping through this piece of plywood in Afghanistan. He came back, made the UT team in Texas there. And the guys were bitching because it was like super hot, humid, and they were doing like, conditioning. And they're all bitching. So coach is like, Boyer, what were you doing 2 weeks ago? And he's like getting shot at in Afghanistan. He's like, quit your fucking crying, boy. You know, and so like the guys, you know, get back to where they grind. And he ended up going to the NFL and he played for the Seahawks. He was a long snapper. And Kaepernick, what people forget this, he was getting roasted because he was sitting on the bench. Yeah. Initially he was sitting during the anthem. And so Nate went down there and he said, there's like this iconic picture of Nate standing with his hand over his heart and Kaepernick kneeling. But Nate told Kaepernick, hey, when we were kids and someone would get hurt, we would take a knee or whatever. So let's do that. Let's take a knee instead of just sitting on the bench. So we started that, but then people didn't give a fuck. They were like, you know, fuck him anyways.
Yeah.
He's, you know, it's funny. It's interesting that they're picking up his name a whole bunch again, like someone's going to give him a chance, but I can't see the owners doing it.
Antonio Brown absolutely roasted his ass this morning or yesterday. I don't remember. But he was like, nobody believes you, dog. You didn't grow up in the hood. Get the fuck out of here. Like, he was like, Antonio Brown was like, I don't fuck with part-time activism. I was just like, God damn.
It's funny coming from fucking Antonio
Brown.
From
AB, of all people,
my dude's
dog.
A mess.
You've got zero cred, bro.
Well, I know we covered a lot of stuff today. I want to thank you again for for agreeing to
Doors open, dude.
come on here and be a host with me and do this and letting us use your lair, man. This place is super awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you.
For those folks at home, man, check out our stuff. Check out Mortgage Right. Check out Kinetic Ink Tattoo Company and Warfighter Overwatch, our nonprofit. You know, we're doing a lot of stuff to help the community, despite what you may hear about our personal opinions on this show. I promise we're good folks, and we like to make the world a better place. And, you know, I'm glad you're on this journey with me, brother.
Me too, man. Let's do it.
All right.
Charlie 9 or 2, this is Red 5. That is A-firm. Keep a hard posture. Only prosecute targets that are immediate threat. Over. Roger that, Red 5. Hold in position. Stand by for further reports. Charlie 9 or 2, out.